and supported by Ascent Radio. My name is Destiny Unuati Ijibo. And as we usually do, we bring you interesting topics that deals with issues that borders on property transaction, whether developed or undeveloped, whether it is occupied or not occupied. This is what we discuss on this channel. And today again we're having another very important topic, and we started risk management about a few weeks ago, and the previous week we talked about management of risks for property agents and brokers. The week before that we also talked about managing risks for property owners. Today we are going to be looking at another angle of that same parties to property transactions, and we'll be looking today the investors. What are the risks that investors face, and what are the possible things they can do to salvage this situation? So our topic for today is tips to manage risks in real estate transaction for property investors. So the topic again is tips to manage risks in real estate for investors, real estate transactions. What are the things that you can look out for as a property investor? So again, we will begin by telling a very short story, as we usually do. Today we have Omowode Ahmed, who is a property investor. He just joined the Nigerian property market, and he wants to know, are there things that he needs to look out for in order to secure himself against any, or protect himself against any future occurrences that may lead to loss of investments, or any challenge at all that may threaten his enjoyment of his profits, which he aims to get by venturing into the real estate sector as an investor. He's not just one who will be there to manage property as a property manager, or going to be one who builds estates for others, but he's just going to be a property investor, an independent investor. Those are the things he's concerned about. He wants to be sure whether or not he can still go into the real estate business despite all the challenges that abound there. So in real estate transaction, one doesn't go in there with the sole aim of or with the idea that I'm going to lose whatever I'm investing there, but he goes in there believing that he's going to make so much profit, because before you venture into any business, you must have heard the profitability of that business, and you who is going in there, you're also going there to be a partaker of those profits that other members who have participated in that business have also gained. So that's what we'll be looking at today, the possible risks that investors face, and we'll also suggest ways that you can come out of it. So first of all, we'll be looking at the first issue there is market fluctuation. How does market fluctuation affect an investor? Now, we said earlier that you who is going into the real estate sector, your aim there is to make profits. As an investor, you are going there to purchase a property, whether developed or undeveloped. If it's a developed one, you are purchasing it with a view of making profit off that same particular property. Let's say you purchase a property that is worth 100 million today, and due to market fluctuation, tomorrow that same property may go as high as 150 million or even 200 million. We also know that the prices of products, particularly the real estate products, are always on the increase on a daily basis. However, there are some instances where the prices of these same products depreciate. Let's say, for instance, due to some events that may have happened during the period, or due to general inflation, nobody is purchasing property again. People are staying off purchase of new property because the economy has not been favorable to many persons, and the purchasing power of many persons have been reduced. If that is the case, it means that your property that you have valued so high because of the amount you expected in purchasing it or developing it, you may not be able to get it at that same price. That is how fluctuation works. It prevents you from getting that particular property, that profit which you have envisaged, from getting that profit out of it. What can you do to help yourself in times of these events happening? One thing you need to do is to study the market properly. Some persons just put out their property into the market for sale without first understanding the times that they are. Now, if you know that persons are purchasing property, that purchase of property is in high demand in a particular area, you have your property in that area, that is the best time for you to sell. If you wait until only few persons are asking for purchase of property, it means therefore you have limited persons who are coming to buy. And if that is the case, it means you also have limited options of purchasers. If you have limited options, there is no way you can price your product high. The best time for you to market your property is when the demand is high in the market. When the demand is high and the supply is low, then you can make the highest profit. Whereas when only few people are offering to purchase your property, but there are some others who also are offering their property for sale, you are likely to make a very little profit or no profit at all. So persons have suffered loss because they put out their property at the wrong time into the market. So you must ensure that the property you are putting out is coming out at the right time. Also ensure that your property is located in a particular place that properties are in high demand. Let's say, for instance, a particular state, let's say Lagos State, people are purchasing property in Ikeja GRA, but your property is not within that axis. You can decide to hold on when your property, where it is located, property are also in high demand. If you decide to sell off your property, whereas the area you are located, there is no high demand for properties yet, you may not make the exact profit that you intend to make by making sale at that particular point in time. Another issue you can also want to look at, or we should quickly look at, is getting returns on investment. How do you get returns on your investment? We said earlier that your aim is to make profit. Now you have two options that are open to you as a property investor. One is to give out your property to tenants and you collect rent. For rent, you can recoup whatever you have expended on the property. It doesn't mean you have to develop a particular property to a certain extent before you give it out. You also have the option of selling. There are persons who purchase property when they see that the price is a bit fair. They purchase the property and wait for when the value increases, and once that happens, they put out the property there for sale. Now, if it happens that you decided to get tenants into that your property, it may take a very long time before you can get your investment back. Now, you also have tenants who delay in making payments. There are some others who will come to you, please, I want to start making a payment. Let's say earlier you agreed that it's going to be periodic payment, let's say 3 years lease. That's what you have agreed with the tenant. It's going to be making payments 3 years upfront. But after some time, he tells you, I want to be making payments every 2 years. And he goes on later to tell you, okay, I want to be making a yearly payment. That scatters whatever arrangements you have had for that particular investment you have made. Let's say you took out a loan and you have made this arrangement with the other person who is taking that property for lease, and the arrangement is that you are going to repay the loan within 5 years. Also, you have arranged with your tenant that he is going to make payments within that's a term of 5 years. He's going to make payment upfront, but he later tells you, oh, I can only afford to pay 2 years. And once this happens, it affects your ability to repay the loan that you have taken out. So getting back your investment to repay that same loan will be a very big challenge that you also need to face. Now, what can you do to remedy this situation? You need to ensure that the persons who are coming to the property, if they are tenants, are persons who are able to pay. You may also want to do a background check on the persons who are coming in, not someone who comes into the property, pays for the first term, and when you want the person to put it for a subsequent term, he starts telling you stories. You must ensure that the right persons are in the property. And also, if you want to sell your property, you must ensure also that you sell at the appropriate time. The appropriate time means you have understudied the market and you are very sure that this is the best time for you to sell that property. You can also get estate valuers to value that your property to know the right price tag to place on a particular property. Don't say because I spent let's say 10 million in developing the property, I will need to sell it for 15 million. That could be another value at a particular point in time you want to sell. And if you decide to also sell for that 15 million, it's also possible that there will be no buyer for that amount, which may be that you need to sell at 13 million. If that is the case, get persons who are experts to value the property and also advise you on the best price to sell and when to sell the property in order to get back your investment. That's another issue, that's another risk that property investors face. Another thing you also want to quickly look at is defaulting tenants. We touched that a while ago, and we said that tenants who are in the property tend sometimes not to meet up with rent arrangement that has been entered into by both parties. Let's say, for instance, it was arranged that you are to pay annually for those who make payments annually, but the tenant is in that property for 2 years. He has failed to make payments, and you are still allowing the person to remain in that particular property. It means, therefore, whatever investment you have made in that property, there is no way you can recover them. And that is a big risk that many property owners have faced today and has discouraged others from giving out property to persons because they feel this person may do what the previous tenants have done. I've had a situation where I was scouting for a property at the time, and one of the issues that the landlord raised was, where are you from? And I was like, how does that matter now that I'm getting into a property? Well, because of the experience he had with the previous tenant who stayed in his property for 2 years, he only paid 1 year rent and refused to pay the subsequent year. That was something he was not willing to have to go through again, because he now has that idea that persons who are from this particular place make so much trouble and they fail to pay rent. I told you I'm not from that particular place, and we laughed over it. But this is something that persons are taking to heart. They don't want to have to go through certain experience that they have faced in the past. Another tenant issue that you may face in this defaulted tenant are persons who pay when they feel it is right. They often feel that, okay, because the landlord is rich, he doesn't have need for this money. Or some, we have the money, they will tell you, okay, I have this money today, you can come the day after. I need to use this money for something that is very important. Now, we have also had situations where a tenant failed to pay his rent. When we asked, he said he had other pressing issues to attend to. That's why he failed to pay rent. He will pay in another 6 months. So you can imagine the situation where a tenant is holding the property owner hostage, and you as an investor, your aim is to make profit and invest in other property. What can you do in such a situation? First is to have a good tenancy agreement that defines your relationship with the person that is coming into the property. The terms should be clearly defined. If this thing happens and you fail to pay rent, or there are other utility bills that you need to take care of in the property, but you fail to meet up with payment, this is what I am going to do as the property owner. Now, as a property owner, there are steps you can take to recover your property from the tenant who currently occupies it. Once you take those steps, you can get your property back and have the tenant evicted. However, you must ensure that the laid down procedure is duly followed in order not to incur any liability from that ejection that you undertake. Another thing you can also do is to get professionals to manage your property. There are persons who know how to appeal to emotions of tenants. That's property manager. If you get the right property manager to manage your property, they can always ensure that you get your money as and when due. If the tenant is not complying, they also know how to get the tenant out of the property legally to ensure that you always get that your payments in due time. On that one, you also want to look at what other risk does a property investor face is damages to a property. Now, you invest in a property because you believe this property is going to give you enough returns, but it happens sometimes some events may happen that may lead in that particular property. One of such is natural disaster. You have invested so much in a particular property, but events happens and you see that what you have invested in that property is lost. One of such scenario is the flooding that is currently bedeviling our country, Nigeria. There are states that are currently being flooded now: Delta State, Bayelsa, and Kogi State. There are some other neighboring states that are affected by flood. As an investor, you have made so much investment in that particular area. When someone says that, okay, this is what happens in a particular time in this particular region, they may find it difficult to purchase any property from you when they know that your property is sited in that particular area. Let's say, for instance, you have your property in a particular local government that was flooded a few years back. Let's say 2 years ago it was flooded again, and this year same thing has happened. When you put out your property for sale in that particular area, persons may find it difficult to purchase that particular property because they know that natural disaster happens, that flooding happens periodically, and they may not be able to enjoy that particular property that they may want to purchase from you. There are some others who may not be lucky enough to have their property still standing after this flooding. If your property is washed away because of the flooding, it means you have lost in its entirety whatever you have invested in that particular area. For farmers, for instance, you invested in farming. You said, okay, let me move into this agricultural sector. You purchased a particular portion of land to invest in agriculture, and ends up that it was flooded. It means therefore you have also lost your investment. Another thing that can also happen, which is natural, is fire incidents. There are properties that have been razed down by fire. It was not envisaged that, okay, I'm building this property and fire will occur anytime soon. You have not even gotten half of what you invested in the property, but fire incident happened and the property is razed down. Nothing could be removed from the property. That means you are starting from the scratch again. What can you do to save yourself in this situation? Getting appropriate insurance is number one thing we always recommend. Get insurance for that property. Ensure that the insurance you are taking for that property sufficiently covers it. There are some persons who take up insurance, they don't pay what is required, they just pay a bit of it and they expect that nothing will happen to the property. But if it eventually happens, whatever you have paid, that is the quantum to which the insurance company is going to make payment. So it is encouraged that you make sufficient payments, that you pay sufficient premium on that particular property insurance cover that you are taking on that particular property. Another thing you can also do is to ensure you do a survey of that particular area. Ask questions. Are there situations where something like this happens, flooding or any other natural disaster that has ever happened within that neighborhood? If you are sure that none of that has ever happened, then you can be sure that you can go ahead with the investment. Get persons to test the texture of the land. There are persons, they don't get the services of experts when they are building, because they worked with some persons who have developed property in the past. They believe they have all the knowledge that they need to develop their own property. That is not always the case. There are some situations where you need to do some dredging before you can start building on a particular land. There are some you need to do some sand filling before you can start building on a particular land. But when you fail to do all of that, because you believe you know everything already, you are likely to incur a loss of investment. It is encouraged, therefore, that you employ the services of experts, surveyors, and all persons who are involved in property transaction. Get them on board before you start construction of any property. Another risk that some persons face, or particularly property investors they face, is debt crisis. How does this happen? You are expanding your business and your goal is, okay, I already have one particular property. I am taking out some persons who take out mortgages. They take they mortgage their property with a view of buying or purchasing some other properties, not just one now. Let's say your property is worth over 100 million. You take a loan that is worth 50 million, you take out another one worth 20 million, and you decide to expand your business. Your aim is to get returns from those investments that you have made, and you are just using the first property as a security for the loan you have taken. But if those investments you have made fail to yield expected returns, you are going to run into debt, and you may end up losing the property which you have used as a security for the loans you have taken. Once this happens, you will find yourself in debt crisis. What can you do to save yourself in this situation? Ensure that you do proper market survey. That's how we started this conversation. Get proper market survey before making investment. It is not enough for you to say that I have heard that a particular area property is very attractive now. Many investors are coming in. That is not enough. You must understand that there is a reason persons are going into that particular area. What if something happens along the line? What is my alternative? You must be able to understand what other routes you may take to get out of any future challenge that may happen. So proper market survey is one thing you have to do, and also take out loans that you know you can easily repay. Some persons, because they are very sure that they are going to make profits, they don't take time to consider other risks that are involved in property investment. It also happened that you decide to take out a particular project. Your target was, okay, after spending like 20 million, I'm going to get the job done. But because you didn't do proper analysis, you end up spending 30 million. And because you did not put that into consideration while you were making your own plans, you are running at a loss. And once this happens, it's debt crisis that you are falling into. So you must ensure that you get accountants, professionals, to help you calculate everything that you need to do in order to come out of this challenge. Another thing you can also do when this has happened already is to negotiate your way out with your creditor. How do you do that? You fix a meeting, explain to the creditor, okay, this is what the situation is at the moment, this is how I'm going to repay. Renegotiate the payment plan. Let's say it was agreed earlier that you are going to make payment within 2 years. You can renegotiate that the payment should be spread within 5 years. That gives you enough time to either get money from that same property that you have invested in, or you source for funds through alternate means. That is all for today. And in summary, you must ensure that you get the right market value for every property that you are making. You also ensure that the person that you are getting into your property as tenants are right persons, not just getting anyone who tells you I'm in need of a property. Ensure that the person is able to pay his rent as and when due, and also ensure that you have your property properly insured, not just taking out insurance that is not sufficient to cover your property. Ensure that your property is properly insured, and also ensure you get property in the right location, not a place that is threatened by some natural disaster. When you do all of this, you will see that you are always secured against any risks that may come up as a property investor. Follow us on all our social media platforms to get more of this conversation that we're having. You can also drop your comments on the comments section where you have any comments. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to us where we discuss such concerns that you have. Thank you for being a part of this conversation today. Until come your way again next week, stay focused on the right track and ensure that you do the right thing at the right time. Thank you.